I'm always in search of ways to connect and find meanings in life. Sadly, nowadays people often focus more and more on the superficial and the materialistic things instead of building deeper and meaningful connections with each other. Could you remind yourself, when was your last time having a truly heartfelt and honest conversation with people? Although language has always been one of the greatest tools for us to communicate, we often don't know how to use it properly. We use language to narrow the gap between ourselves and the world, but somehow we still feel disconnected and lonely. Looking back on my experience of training as an actor in the UK for the past few years, what always fascinated me the most was how the journey not only improved my English, but also encouraged me to become and grow into a better human being. So I thought I'd share my experience of training as an actor in a foreign country and how it helped me master a new language and how it challenged me to view myself and the world differently. No matter whether you are learning a new language or feeling a bit disconnected and lost from the current world, I really hope that my video will bring you some insightful and positive thoughts for you to empower yourself. So first of all, a bit of context here. I was born and raised in a very traditional Chinese family in which both of my parents hardly speak any English. Though I had some access to English materials while I was growing up because we had to take lots of exams and English classes since primary school, I never had a proper English speaking environment for me to put what I've learned into practice. It saddens me that all we were achieving at such a young age was to get high scores. So many of us lost our interest in language learning because the school almost defined us, not only as a student, but also as a person. So having to realize that the current Chinese public school system wouldn't necessarily provide any practicality for language learning, I decided to do it differently. I spent a huge amount of time watching English films and English dramas and managed to develop myself an interest in role-playing and impersonating all kinds of movie characters. It made me realize that being able to tell someone else's story and express their thoughts, their feelings, their emotions through a language that is not my mother tongue somehow meant something more to me. It not only allowed me to connect to a culture which I'm not familiar with, but also gave me a wonderful and incredible opportunity to discover and embrace another part of my true self. Just like that, my passion and love for acting in English grew stronger and stronger. In 2013, I moved to the UK and embarked on a journey to become an actor there. A lot of you might say, oh, you already had invested some time in learning English. You must have had no problems of speaking the language, and that is very far from the truth. When I first arrived in the UK, I somehow quickly lost my ability to speak the language as fluent as I would have expected. I came to realize that how naive I was back then, since people in reality don't necessarily talk like movie characters. Due to cultural and ethnic diversity in Britain, everyone sounds completely different from one another. Everyone has their own accent. I therefore found myself constantly struggling to understand people. As time went on, fear and insecurities crept up on me. I started to speak less and less, both in school and in life, to avoid making mistakes. I was so scared of being judged for my imperfect English. I felt very much disconnected from the people and the culture I was in. However, the acting training which I had at UK drama schools changed the whole narrative entirely. The fact that I was the only international student in school who speaks English as my second language really pushed me to change. And throughout the 3 years of intensive voice, accent, movement and acting training, we spend a huge amount of time just to observe people and analyze the characters as human beings. And as actors, you were also forced to be intimate with complete strangers in a short amount of times. So I remembered myself feeling extremely overwhelmed and exhausted at the end of every single day, just because I was trying so hard to absorb what I was given. But with time, I felt a sense of community. It was powerful. Being able to expose yourself and share laughs, tears, joy, and all those beautiful, intimate human moments with a bunch of people coming from different parts of the world felt truly liberating to me. I came to realize that people have so much in common with each other despite the cultural and language barriers. And you really started to see how connected we all are, and you began to view the world with completely new eyes. And little by little, moment by moment, I was able to put foreign words to feelings for the first time and realized what a valuable tool that was for me to express myself. The experience of playing Betsy Trotwood in David Copperfield at Manchester Home Theatre in 2017 was indescribable to me. For the very first time, I was able to dive into a world of 19th century England, and in there I was able to breathe, think, speak and behave both physically and psychologically as a Victorian lady. The journey was phenomenal. I felt like I was experiencing another piece of history. I know it may sound a bit irrelevant to language learning, but what I've learned through acting absolutely incorporated into every single moment when I was speaking in English. So I have come up with 3 things for you to take away and think about when you are learning a new language. First, the ability to listen. While I was struggling to understand people, I paid a huge amount of attention to how they speak instead. What words do they use? How do they express their emotions through various tones? How do they react and respond with their body? These tiny little details are all interconnected in the language they're using. The second thing is the ability to care and sympathize. As actors, we are told to care and sympathize our characters. So therefore, in real life, you have to genuinely care about people and care about the world so that you can use the language to fill the gap between yourself and them. You can't judge people because of where they come from. So once you start to free yourself from all kinds of limitations, things will get much, much easier. The last thing is to be vulnerable. I know that learning a new language or learning something new can be extremely terrifying and can make you feel very lonely, but you have to let go of how other people think in order to grow. You have to, embrace the unknown and accept that perfection does not exist and things won't go as planned. Take me, for example. Living in a foreign country is scary enough, let alone of becoming an actor there. The journey was not easy and comfortable at all, but the outcome was absolutely worth it. As a result, I was made to be more courageous, more fearless, and more sure of myself. I was able to travel to different countries without worrying too much about the language, as I believe there is something more to human communication than the language, than the words itself. Language is more than just a tool for us to communicate. Language can be everything. English is a language, French is a language, a sense of touch is a language, eye contact can also be a language. These are all wonderful, wonderful formats for us to connect and put meanings into our lives. As human beings, we all experience and share universal feelings and emotions no matter where we come from. So don't limit yourself by saying things like, oh, I don't say that, or I don't understand that because I am from China. Once you let go of the tendency to put people into categories and start to see yourself and other people, as individuality, a new world will be opened up to you completely and immediately. I know I had always led a very privileged life. I have a very supportive family. Without their unconditional love, I wouldn't be able to make my way through to where I am today. The reason why I'm sharing these is not because I think I know better or my journey is more valuable than anybody else's, but because they mean something to me. And hopefully what I just shared would somehow inspire you in the same way as it did to me. So I would encourage you to step out of your comfort zone. Find something you're really, really passionate about. Date someone new, pick up a new hobby, or try doing something completely out of your major. Because these are all wonderful ways for us to continuously learn and improve ourselves. So give yourself that permission. I firmly believe that only through experiencing and changing can you find yourself living a much more fulfilled and happier life.
And I just want you to take me there. And then I'll be, then I'll